Well, good morning. Looking weird. Why is this looking weird? I'm so small over here. Oh my goodness, other technical difficulties going on. But hello. So sorry I'm so tiny on your screens this morning. But I'm really excited. So I'm coming to y'all live from Denver. Today is our first day. We're doing VIP day for all of my VIP ticket holders. So very, very excited there. And I also wanted to show y'all here. Let me maybe remove my. So weird. So weird. Anyways, but I do have some new merch that's coming out, and I wanted to show it to all of my girly girls who are out there practicing their infinite banking journeys and who are, just figuring out money and your money lifestyle. So, literally, I have some new merch, some new hats that are going to be going live. It says "My Bank, My Rules." And then also I even made my own little Hannah Kessler hat over here. And on the side of it, it says cash flow like a queen. So you can even notice like the little Monopoly guy, right? He's got, I should say, has her big old lips on there, and she's got some eyelashes on her. So I heard you guys, I heard my female audience. You're like, with this very big male dominated space, we need to have our own merch and we need to really come together as us being in our feminine energy and figuring out this money situation. So I wanted just to share that with y'all. Reach out to me if y'all want some of these hats. I am going to be giving them away here at the mastermind, but there's my email for y'all as well, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. Just reach out to me. Let me know if you're interested in some of this merch. So that was one of my tasks that I wanted to cross off my list with y'all this morning. And for my people who are coming here live tomorrow, if you're coming in through the general sessions, we're very excited. We're happy to have you here. But I wanted to get into the topic of Reddit. Okay. And Reddit is a big forum. I go on there from sometimes. I even listen to a podcast called Two Hot Takes. I love Morgan, Justin, and that whole crew over there, literally to the point where I went out to Nashville and I saw a live show of them, but they just read a whole bunch of Reddit stories and Reddit posts and they take their hot takes, right? There's, am I the a-hole threads, there's money threads, there's economic distress threads, and it's a really just cool place just to see what the community is saying. So I found a Reddit post of somebody talking about the infinite banking concept, and I'm going to post it up here on the screen. So I will also, here, let me do this for y'all. What I'll do is let me copy the link, and I'm going to put it here in the comments so y'all can even have this exact link to go to as well. Good morning, Dexter. Good morning, Dave. So this was a post that was posted by well-to-do rando. All right. And this was 2 years ago is when he made this post. And he says, help with becoming your own banker criticism. And he continues on to say, I have a family member who is due a windfall and asked me what I thought of becoming your own banker. I've read about 50 pages of it, and I feel like I'm watching a late night info commercial selling whole life insurance snake oil. All right, so then I kind of paused there, and then I pulled up my book, my Nelson Nash Becoming Your Own Banker book, and I was like, okay, if he made it to page 50, how far in the book did he get to? Did he make it through the equipment financing chapters? And no, he stopped right before the equipment financing, which in my opinion, I think is one of the most powerful chapters within Nelson's book, if you really understand the equipment financing chapter. But he continues on to say, if I have the gist of it, the book is advocating stacking whole life policies so you can access your principal and avoid using banks for loans. It seems to only focus on expenses and fails to mention that all the while the insurance companies are in business to profit just as much as the banks. So let's pause there, because we're absolutely right. I mean, the insurance companies are in the business to have profits, right? But here's kind of what I want y'all to understand when it comes to whole life versus term life and the whole buy term and invest the difference, okay? Because he gets into that, but I'm going to pause here in his statement. Because if you kind of think about it like this, in whole life insurance, you are essentially almost betting with the insurance company. You're saying, hey, insurance company, I know I have a guaranteed graduation date on my body. And I know that at some point in the future, I'm going to pass, because we all know that at some point we have a guaranteed expiration date when God calls us back home, right? And the difference between whole life and the term is that term is you're almost like betting against the insurance company. You're telling the insurance company, hey, Mr. Insurance Company, I want to buy this term policy from you. Yeah, because of the death benefit, but I'm going to purchase this policy because I want the death benefit, but I think that I'm going to pass within that 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, 40-year term policy. So you are literally betting on yourself passing during that term, and the insurance company saying, okay, we'll give you this policy because you know what? We really don't think you're going to pass between that term, right? There was literally a Penn State did this study that less than 2% of all term policies actually pay out. Because think about it. If the insurance company actually thought that you were going to pass between that term or that time, do you think they would even give you the policy? Probably not. Okay. So that's why we're walking into this marriage, this relationship with the insurance company in the long haul until I'm age 121 versus me betting against you guys and saying, no, I am going to pass within that term time. Right. So do you kind of see the differences? You're not betting against the insurance company. You're truly growing and evolving with them. And specifically when it's a mutually owned insurance company, not stock held companies, but mutually owned insurance companies, who shares within those profits of that insurance company? The policy owner, the one who owns that policy contract. So literally we are, like I said, walking into this marriage with the insurance company, and we're going down this life journey, and this contract is going to be in force until I'm age 121. And at the time of my passing, because let's face it, yes, I understand people are living longer, but like, what's the average, lifetime of a person here in America? I mean, it's right around the ages of 80 to 90. Some people live longer than that. I mean, my grandma and I lived to 102 years old. My papa right now, he's 91 years old. So some people live longer, some people, their death date comes sooner, but let's be real. People right now just aren't living till age 121. And a matter of fact, even if you do live until age 121, get this, the insurance company will actually pay you out that death benefit. And they say, hey, it's been fun playing with you, but we no longer want to play in the sandbox anymore. Here's your death benefit money. And then they literally pay out that death benefit to you, the policy owner, if you reach that age of 121. Now, a little asterisk there, something that I learned. At that time, though, at age 121, the death benefit, it does become taxable. It's not tax-free if they're paying out that death benefit to you and you live to age 121. But here's my thought process on that. If I'm age 121, do I really care about all those taxes? Probably not, right? But I'm kind of working on that. I want to see if there's ever a way that if it can always be tax-free, even if you do make it to 121. So let's continue on in the article. He says, if any of you have experience with this book, can you help me with a short synopsis to help me explain to my financially ignorant family member that this book is trash? Let's talk about this. In my personal opinion, well-to-do rando here, you have hit arrival syndrome. You have literally hit the arrival syndrome, because if you think that there's everything that everything there is to know on this planet, and you can't learn anything else or hear what other people are saying out there in the financial world, you might as well just be dead and rot because you've literally hit the arrival syndrome. And that's an ongoing process that you have to check yourself time and time again. I mean, even when people come up to me talking about stocks or IRAs and Roths and different things, I'll hear them out. I have one of my close colleagues, he's telling me, hey, Hannah, you know what you should do is you should be putting at least, I think it's like $7,000 into this Roth IRA account. It's going to help you here. And I really think for myself and I question, okay, well, why is he telling me that? What are the pros that he's telling to me? And if this is helpful too, anytime like I'm in a situation where I'm trying to make a decision for myself, I am always writing a pros and cons list. That's one thing my mama taught me at a young age is I'll take out my notebook and I'll say, okay, I got to get my thoughts out here on paper. I make this big T chart. I put the pros on the left-hand side, cons on the right-hand side, and I just go through and I walk through the pros and cons and which one does it weigh out more with. I mean, literally, I do that within my dating life too. It doesn't just have to be your money life. It can be in any aspect of your life. And I go through and I write out those pros and cons. So, well-to-do rando, I hate to break it to you, but man, you have totally just hit arrival syndrome, especially too if you didn't even make it through all of the book and you're having these questions and these thoughts already to yourself. You are telling me that you've arrived in the knowledge and you think that you know everything there is to know. Now, because I do agree, is the infinite banking concept for everybody? No, because if you're not disciplined with your money, this is not going to work for you. Infinite banking is not just a hobby that you pick up 1 month out of the year and then you drop it and you never look at it again. This is a lifestyle. It's a process that you're adding to your financial life. And if you don't treat it with that respect, this ain't going to work for you, right? And at the end of the day, you're just going to be in the controls of somebody else. So here's what I have to say is what he continues on. Number one, whole life or any annuity is generally a terrible idea. Let's pause there. Actually, the annuity world, you guys should really look deeper into annuities, especially my people who have 401ks. Let me ask you this question. How much did your 401k profit this year or lose in value? Seriously. So would you rather it be subject to the markets to grow in value, reduce in value, or would you rather have a guaranteed stream of income that's coming in? See, that's the two things that is, what's the right word? I want to say in conjunction, but I don't think that's the right word, but we're going to go with it. That's two things in conjunction with the whole life and the annuity. That's the same, is that it's guaranteed. There's a guaranteed aspect to both of those vehicles that you do not have within your 401k, your market portfolio, right? So it's not about the investment, right? People always want to look at whole life like this is my investment. No, this is just a place of where I warehouse, I store my dollars, and then through the policies is how I go and buy my investment. Because, right, doesn't your money have to flow through somebody's bank? And wouldn't you rather it be your bank where you're the one who makes the interest, profits, and dividends rather than the commercial banks making all of that money and the wealth off of you? I'm sitting here and I'm talking and I'm thinking about in Nelson's book, I want to say it's on page 48. On 48 of his book, yep, right here. Expanding the system to accommodate all income. Let's just read the first paragraph here. It always sounds a bit strange to people when I say premiums and income should match. Let's start with the very basic fact. Doesn't all of your money go through someone else's bank now? When you get your paycheck, what do you do with it? Right. You deposit it in someone else's bank, then you write checks against it to buy the things you want in life. While it is in the bank, the banker lends your money to someone else and makes a good living doing it. See, this is where people get tripped up when we're talking about becoming our own bankers, because a lot of your financial gurus, what they want to come and talk to you about, or your financial advisors, is they want to talk to you about, oh, good. Hello. Now we're big. Hi. Good morning, everybody. Your financial gurus, they want to come to you and they want to talk to you about the money that you're saving. And they're coming to you saying, hey, take this money that you're saving, go and invest it, and let's get higher rates of return on the money that you're saving. Here's where I'm different. Let's walk through how you guys spend your money right now. Right now, how y'all are spending your money is 20 cents of every dollar goes to automobiles. And I'm not just saying the purchase price of the car. I'm talking about the gas, the upkeep, the maintenance of that vehicle. So 20 cents of every dollar goes to automobiles. 30 cents of every dollar goes to housing, and 40 cents of every dollar goes to living. And then we're trying to save at least the 10%. Now, do y'all know what the average savings rate here in America is? It's about 5%. It's about 5%, which is the average savings rate here. Now, before the recession, it was actually a negative number, but ever since the recession, people really started to hunker down and save more. But I'm going to say that y'all are an average, above average group of people, and y'all are saving 10 cents or 10% of every dollar that you make. And so what your financial advisors are coming to you and saying is, hey, with that 10%, that 10 cents that you are saving, let me take this money and I'm going to go out and get you higher rates of return with the money that you're saving. But in order to do that, doesn't that involve more risk? You got to take on the risk. You're going to have the upswings, you're going to have the downswings. And I don't want to talk to you about the money that you're already saving. Keep doing that, right? That's of the 6 laws of wealth. That's number 1, is save 10% of what you make. Where I'm different is I want to take the money that you're already spending. How can I take that money that I'm already spending and move it to my savings category? Meaning, if I'm spending 20 cents of every dollar just goes directly to automobiles, and what if I could take that 20 cents and knock it down to 15 cents? And that 5 cents that we're now saving and we move it over to our savings category, now we just increased our savings by 50% simply by reducing the amount of money that we're spending on automobiles. Now, I'm not showing my visuals, so hopefully this is coming through clearly with y'all, but that's some of the stuff that we're going to be covering this weekend at the Money Multiplier Mastermind event. But I don't want y'all to work any harder, take on any additional risk, or lose control of your cash flow. All I want to do is I want to reduce the amount of money that I'm spending and keep the money that I'm already spending, again, without having to work any harder, take on any additional risk, or lose control of my cash flow. So that's where this is different. Again, people want to say, oh, this is an investment, and they think it's an investment because, oh, it raises and it grows in value. But in my definition of an investment involves risk, right? It can go up in value, but it can also go down and lose value. And what did I say? Whole life insurance is not an investment because it can never lose value. It is a guaranteed appreciating asset, truly. So now that I'm done with my tangent, let's get back to this. He says, number 2, while paying interest on loans does indeed suck, you can control costs and not overextend by taking out loans you can't afford or agreeing to bad terms. I do agree with that, right? I mean, you need to make sure that any loans that you do take out, that you can handle that and it's a good money move on your part. Okay, so we can be in agreement there. Number 3, many company-sponsored retirement plans allow for loans against that account. And while those loans would also be a terrible idea, it's better than whole life. Oh, okay, let's talk about this for a second. A lot of us, no, let's go here. Do you agree that the definition of money is nothing more than just a means of exchange? That's all that money is. All we do with money all day long is we exchange it for the goods, the products, the services that we're buying in life. And I'm thinking about it. You know, actually, Dad would always say this. Like when we were growing up as kids in the Olathe house, Dad would be in the basement and you could literally hear him on the second story of the house. If you ever met my father, you know, he's got that booming voice in him, right? And so he'd be like on his strategy calls doing some stuff. And then he'd come back upstairs and my brother and I would always kind of, lack of better word, to mock him or mimic him. You say money for food, food for money, money for car, car for money, money for house, house for money, right? That's all that money is. Money is nothing more than just a means of exchange. So don't you think it's a little ridiculous and stupid that people are doing things with their money that they would never do things with what money buys? Money's nothing more than a means of exchange, right? So if I'm going to go out and let's say I'm going to buy myself $100,000 house, and let's say I'm 26 years old, in order for me to access money inside of these retirement accounts, I have to wait 33 years into that future to access the money inside of the retirement accounts just to avoid the 10% penalty. Tax is always going to be there. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now. But just to avoid the 10% penalty, I have to wait until I'm age 59 and a half. So if I were to go buy myself a house that costs $100,000 today, and then I waited 33 years into the future to move into that house, that would be kind of stupid and ridiculous, would it not? See, we can't do things with money that we would never do with things that money buys. Now, I agree, you know, we need to have our emergency funds. We need to have funds set aside for those rainy days because it's life is going to happen. But what I'm saying is that your money should be used not just for cash accumulation. See, everybody wants to talk about cash accumulation, but then they neglect to talk about cash flow. And that's truly what I'm after, is I'm trying to take my cash that I have, go put it to work for me to create cash flow that's coming in. Because if you do not learn how to make your money work for you, you are always going to be in the system of going out and having to go and work for your money. See, I want my money working for me when I'm in bed sleeping at night. I mean, seriously, that's really what I'm after, to have this true financial freedom here. So let me get back to this article here. He goes, for the love of God, go learn about index funds. I'll come back to that one. The book is the equivalent of going into a car dealer and talking about what's my monthly payment while never looking at what is the total cost of this vehicle. Now, there is a cost to starting up the policy, right? I always use the analogy that starting my policy, it's almost like starting a business from scratch. But what matters the cost of my shovel if I'm going outside and I'm digging for gold? What matters the cost then? See, there's always a cost to your capital, economic value added, EVA. There is, and you got to treat your capital like it does have a cost to it, and you need to respect your money because money is going to flow and grow to where it's respected to. So starting the policy, use the analogy that it's almost like starting a business from scratch. Well, Hannah, why do I go and I start this business from scratch? Or Hannah, why do I go and spend 4 years at a university spending all this money, my time, my sweat, my energy, my love pouring into this? I'm not going to be profitable for the first couple of years, right? Because I'm in school. You guys all understand that. But then you can't see it when it comes to the whole life side. So let's talk about it. There's a cost to starting up a business or even going out there and getting a degree for ourselves, right? So if I were to go out and start this new business, open it up from scratch, let's say I put $1 into this business and my profits that year is 60 cents of every dollar that I put into the business. Okay, we get it, right? I just started this business. There's overhead costs, there's marketing expenses, blah, 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 right? But year two, I put $1 into this business. And now my profits that year are 75 cents of every dollar that I put into the business. All right, I'm not breaking even yet, but we are trending in that correct direction. Year three, I put $1 into this business. Now my profits are 95 cents of every dollar that I put into it. Year four, I put $1 into the business. Now my profits are $1.05 now. So I'm breaking even plus having some profits in the fourth year. Year five, I put $1 into that business. Now my profits for that year are $1.15. You kind of see where I'm going with this? So if you knew that a business were to guarantee to operate this way, I mean, how many of these businesses do you want for yourself in your lifetime? I mean, hopefully the answer is as many as I can get, a lot of them. And then not to mention too, it's not a traditional business, right? The whole life policy, that's the analogy that I'm trying to make here with the whole life versus starting a business, because that's how the cash value grows within the business. Cash value grows in the business. Haha. Cash value grows in the whole life policy. Year one, 60 cents. Year two, 75 cents. Year three, 95. Year four, I'm breaking even now. And then every year after that, whatever premium deposit that I put into this policy, I'm just going to have greater and greater growths year after year after that. So we can all understand that, but we don't understand it when it comes to whole life insurance. But I get it because, yeah, we can go deep into mechanics of whole life insurance all day long. But if you don't have the correct mindset and you cannot overcome these natural human behaviors that you've been taught up to this point in your life, you're never going to fully understand the infinite banking concept. And honestly, I don't want to say that word. That's not a, I was going to say you're kind of unteachable, right? You've arrived in knowledge and now you're unteachable. And that's okay, because again, there's no one silver bullet out there for everybody. Everybody's different, where they're at in life, what they're doing, what their goals and their aspirations are. And so that's why you need to really build your communities and build those support systems and the people behind you to help support you, because everybody's going to be different. My goals are different than yours. My father's goals are different than my goals. And that's okay. But we got to figure out how these puzzle pieces are fitting together in this big picture that we're trying to build for ourselves. And so truly, if I can create this entity or this business, aka the whole life policy, if I can create this entity in this business that over time, I have more cash value in this thing than what I even put into it as my premium deposits, how much did it really cost me to start this policy and start this journey? As Nelson Nash would say, nothing. I mean, literally, but again, it's not for the short-term mindset. This is not for starting this system and then stopping it after 5 years. If that's how you're thinking, no, this ain't for you, and go follow this Reddit dude and go do your index funds, right? Because that's a whole other different thing that we can get into as well. My index funds, if I'm going out there and I'm purchasing index funds, that's great. But again, to go back, this is an investment. Your index funds are your investments because it's going to follow the index and it's going to ebb and flow with how the index is performing. So I'm not talking to you about getting those rates of return inside of those investment portfolios. I mean, hey, we can have those buddy conversations, but I say it all the time. I'm never going to tell you how to go make your money, how to invest your money. But if you want to know what I'm doing, what's working out for me, we can have those one-on-one buddy conversations together. And personally, I want the cash flow and the guarantees in my investments. But that's my investment life. This is not talking about where I'm truly storing my money at. And that's what this guy is not getting. And what really, really sucks about this too, because even in my family, there was a time when dad started his first policy back in 08. And then he started teaching it in 2012 because he was talking to all of the patients that would come into the chiro office, and he was just talking to them about what he's doing. He was mentoring, young chiropractors too, starting up their own clinics. And when you're starting up a business or a clinic, hey, how do I finance for the adjustment tables, my key employees within my office here, right? And so that's when dad would really bring up the conversation of what he was doing with his policies and how he was floating and buying the equipment, the different things within his business. He would share this message with the patients and his young mentees at the time. And when dad made that transition of not wanting to go and clock in to the chiropractic office every morning, and he sold his last clinic in 2017, and he made this transition of no longer being a chiropractor and then moving into teaching the infinite banking concept full time. His parents were not on board with this whatsoever, even though they were like, hey, Brent, but you're such a successful chiropractor. Just keep doing this, keep going along there. But dad was not happy. He was not wanting to go into the office every single day, right? He wanted to manage and control his own schedule instead of having to have these set times of when he's got to be in the office treating those patients. And so sometimes you need to fire your friends and your family members because they are the biggest ones who are holding you back from your true potential. I know it's hard. And it's not saying that it's got to be rough, we can still sit around the kitchen table, have Thanksgiving together, have Christmas and different things together. But I know who I'm going to be taking my financial advice from and who I'm not going to be taking my financial advice from. And how you know whether to be listening to these people or not. Now, given, always listen, but implementation versus listening are two totally separate things. So, because remember, arrival syndrome, you never want to hit the arrival syndrome. But if I'm listening to these family members talk to me about financial wisdom, financial advice that they have, what they're doing, I'm going to listen to it. But then also I'm going to look to see what type of lifestyle are they living? Is that the lifestyle that I want to live? Are our core values aligned together? Because that's a big thing too. I mean, my values and my mindset is different than my grandparents, probably even different than like my siblings, right? And so you need to just look at the whole picture and just not, and I know why your family members do this, because they want to protect you. They don't want you to lose anything, right? And they come from it from a good place of their heart, truly, most of the time. But sometimes you just got to say, hey, thank you, I love you, but this is the journey that I'm going to go and set out and be on. Because at the end of the day, what's so fun about the Money Multiplier community is that everybody here is walking down the same road, same path together in their infinite banking journeys. Okay, so we're literally practicing the thing that we're preaching all the time. This is how I fund for the different things within my life. This is how I just went out and I bought myself the new conversion van, which I'm going to do a whole episode on that here soon over on my vlog channel. Okay, Hannah Kessler on YouTube. Coming up here in the next recent vlogs, you'll see some of the van footage, which I'm so excited about. It's parked now in Florida. So it's over there. My next big trip is going to come up in January of 2026. I got to make it out to Tucson, Arizona by the first week of February. So I'm going to go out, hit the road, and go live my nomad van life with myself and my kitty cat. So I'm very, very excited for that. But literally how I went and I financed this van is through my policies. I took a loan from the policies because let's be honest, even like when I went out and I bought my first house, I was 19. It was a few days after I turned 19, and that's when I moved from Kansas City down to Florida, and I had a duplex. And I was living on one side of the duplex. I had a sweet couple on the other side, Mr. Charlie and Dorothy. So, man, I do really miss Charlie and Dorothy. They moved to another house. They're snowbirds, so they go back and forth from Maryland and then Florida, and they keep going back and forth every 6 months. But when I moved there, do you think at 19 years old, not being in sales, still doing some of my Cracker Barrel stuff, still doing part-time with the Money Multiplier, do you really think that a bank, if I were to go down there and ask to borrow the money to go purchase this house, they would make me go through all of this, what I call proctology paperwork, and I would have to prove myself, and I'd have to just go through this headache with the bank. And on top of that, I'll probably have to co-sign off on some of the loans, right? Because they're not going to trust me, a young girl over here, not a long credit history, et cetera, et cetera. And this is where the freedom and the control comes from, when you truly control the environment of where you're leaving that hard-earned money at. And so I just want y'all to really get that in perspective of the mindset that you have to have walking down this journey is that it's about the freedom and it's about the control. Those are the two biggest words that come to my mind if I'm just trying to sum up the infinite banking concept in one word, is freedom and control, maybe even liquidity too, having your access to your money when you want it for whatever you want, right? So I'm going to continue on page 48 of Nelson's book, because now that you understand what the problem is, the problem being that it's not about our investments. It's truly about the money that we're spending, because you finance every single thing that you buy. I say that all the time. You finance every single thing that you buy. You either give up the interest that you could have earned on that money, aka paying cash for things, or you send out the interest to somebody else, aka bank financing it. And Nelson says, it seems a little ridiculous, but my all-American man on page 17 is depositing all of his paycheck in a bank and then writing checks for 34.5% of every dollar to pay interest alone back to someone else's banking system. He will never see that money again. It is gone forever. Why does he behave this way? Because no one has ever explained to him a better way of doing things. And once a pattern of life is learned in a culture, it is up to impossible to change. His paradigm is fixed. It's set in concrete. The peer pressure and conventional wisdom is overwhelming, but that doesn't mean that it can't be done. And it's hard, right? When you're trying to go out there and preach a message that's just totally unconventional and backwards thinking to what the masses and your financial advisors who are probably in their 60s with white hair and what they're saying, they're just not going to get it, because it's such a paradigm shift to how we are truly conducting our banking business, how we're buying the things that we're already going to go buy in life. So again, I say the biggest disconnect that this gentleman has here on this Reddit post is that he's looking at this thing like, number one, there's a lot of cost that's, hey, it's going to cost me a lot to start this thing up. But then number two, go out and just invest your money. Give it over to the investment advisor down at the corner bank. Take them out there and get higher rates of return on the money that you're saving. I don't care about what y'all are doing in your investment world. What I care about is where and how you are spending the dollars that you are going to go and spend anyways. Do you see my point? Do you see kind of why I get so frustrated sometimes with just people who are fixed in their paradigm and who have arrived in knowledge? So the comments don't help at all as well. They all have the same paradigm here. And what kind of sucks too is that I can't comment. I would love to comment, but this is an archived post, and so new comments cannot be posted. But people just don't truly understand why we do the things with whole life insurance that's just against the masses, that it's not just for the death benefit. And I'm truly building my own banking business, my own banking system here. So I just ask y'all, check yourself in. How are you thinking? Have you arrived within your knowledge? And really just expand yourself, okay? Keep growing, keep learning new things. And like I said too, listen to the people who are just talking to you, telling you what they're doing, what's working out for them, because it could be working out for them, but you are not them. There's no one silver bullet out here. And so you have to find that direction of where you want to go and put your dollars to work at, where you want to go and store your money at, because you could, right? I mean, you could go take that 401k that you have and use that money, take some 401k loans at 8% and go do almost like a debt consolidation, kind of like how we do with the policies, and then pay back your 401k money with it. You could do that. But again, why am I doing my policies and not doing that with my 401k? Because at the end of the day, it's guaranteed. I have this guaranteed appreciating vehicle that's always going to be working for me no matter what's going on with the markets. I always say who the president is and who the president's ticking off in the world. It don't matter, because you are in full ownership and control of this entity. And it's not based on what everybody else is doing out there. And honestly, 90% of what you do in your financial life is being compared to what everybody else is doing. So in my opinion, if I can correct the banking business within my life and I recapture that interest that I would have paid to a bank or lost if I would have paid cash for things, I'm ahead compared to 90% of the population, right? So hopefully this was a little helpful. I just wanted to kind of just share with y'all, because you're going to almost feel like you're a whack-a-mole character when you go out there and you try to preach this message. And you're like, hey, have you heard about this book, Nelson Nash and Becoming Your Own Banker? And they're like, whack, buy term and invest the difference. Hey, let me show you how to get all the money back for just the cars that you're buying for yourself. Whack, I pay cash for all my cars. You kind of feel like you're that whack-a-mole character when you're trying to go out there and preach something new. So I just encourage y'all, really stay within alignment, stay within your truth, and write your thoughts down, okay? I'm a huge advocate of getting my thoughts out there on paper and just freeing my mind capacity, essentially, because ADD woman over here, okay, I got a lot of thoughts that are floating through my head all the time, and I go in just different directions all the time. But I just really want y'all to keep learning, keep evolving. If you got the questions, please reach out to me. You guys got my email. Here it is right here, hannah@themoneymultiplier.com. And if this is the first time you're ever seeing my live stream, okay, I'm here every single Thursday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. It is currently the 7 a.m. hour over here in Mountain Time in Denver. Good morning, all my Mountain Time people. But I just encourage y'all, okay, keep thinking for yourself, keep questioning. If this is the first time you're ever hearing about the infinite banking concept, you can go right there to themoneymultiplier.com/presentation, and it'll walk you through the fundamentals of how, what, who, why, right? Or you could also, I would read Becoming Your Own Banker. It's available on Amazon. You can even go purchase it from The Money Multiplier, us over here too. But hey, it's on Amazon, so go there that way. And keep rereading your book, okay? I reread this book 1 to 2 times every single year, to the point when I'm like 65, maybe I'll like have it all memorized. But I do go back because there's some things that I'm like, oh crap, I could be talking about that a little bit more. I could be thinking about this in a different perspective, because when you do go through life, you have different mindsets, right? Just where you're at in life. I'm a single lady, no children, not married. But when I do have children and I'm married, my priorities and what I care about may be shifting a little bit better. You know what I mean? It's shifting, right? Whatever is in alignment with me today may not be in alignment with me 2, 3, 5 years down the road. So we're always evolving, we're growing creatures. And I just want y'all to really tap into that creative side and that vulnerable side with yourself. So now that I am big screen, and before I log off here today, as I go and greet a lot of our money multipliers coming into town, into Denver, here's the new merch that I was trying to show y'all earlier today. Look how cute she is. So for all my ladies, reach out to me. So I got some of these on deck. I'm going to be handing them out here. My bank, my rules. So I'm very excited about this. This is going to be a really cool one. And then this one is my new one. I just got one of these made just for myself, but cash flow like a queen. Compounding cash flow like a queen is what it says. So I just love it. I've been kind of getting creative into the merch side and the merch world. So thank you, y'all, for being here for another episode. I will be back on Thursday. I'm still going to be in Colorado. I'm going to stay a little bit later with one of my good girlfriends. So after the event is done, we're going to hang out for a few days. So I'll still be here next Thursday. And what else do we have coming up? So there is a money tank event. So just FYI for all of my private lenders and people who want to get deep into investments. Chris Noggle and Stephen Nagy, they're going to be putting on the Money Tank event in Orlando. I want to say that's next weekend. The weekend of like the 17th, 18th, if I'm remembering correctly. So if you do want to go to that and you're in the Florida area, I would highly recommend go and meet them out in person. I think I'm going to show up for a day or two and just kind of hang out for a little bit too, because it's right in my backyard. You know, Orlando's only an hour away from Daytona. So that's coming up. And then also I got a big announcement where I'm going to be announcing it on Saturday of another event happening in Florida, in Tampa, in Q1 of 2026. So just put a little note in your brain, Q1 of 2026. We're going to be coming together in Tampa for something fun. So stay tuned. I'll let you know when that launches, and you can get more information there. But if you're the type of person that you're like, hey, well, I don't see the value of me traveling, paying this money to go to a hotel and paying the airfare and doing all of that stuff when I could just go to YouTube University and watch all the online webinars. I'm just saying, y'all, it is such a different experience, and it's so much more impactful, in my opinion, when you get in the rooms with the people. So I would just encourage y'all, if it's been a while and you haven't been out to a live event, you should really consider it, just being in the rooms and hearing all the stories, the testimonies, feeling the energy, and making new friends while you're at it too. I mean, that's what's so fun. I mean, a lot of y'all started off as my clients, and then now we're like BFFs over here. Literally, I was living in my van one time and I went over to Arizona. I saw Miss Claire over there and I said, Claire, I'm in your town. Can I use some laundry? It's been fun, right? So that's what this whole human experience is all about. It's just truly getting connected with people. So thank you, y'all, for being here for another episode. As I said, I'm going to be back 9 a.m. Eastern time next Thursday. And then also in the meantime, we have the podcast show, the Money Multiplier Podcast. New episodes release every Tuesday. So you can always go over there and check out some of the content that's being posted there too. But until then, I do appreciate all of y'all. Here's Mr. Dave. It is great making connections and masterminding. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I appreciate all of y'all. So go out, do good, be well today. And until next week, I will see all of you money multipliers soon. Mwah! Bye, y'all.